Hi there, ladies and gents, KG16 here, hope all is well with you. Today we're going to be covering some light tank basics with the Vanguard, the Tier 8 Premium Light Tank, also known as the Pest. I'm not going to go through all the equipment and skills on screen, but you'll find them in the description below for this video. This isn't even a special game, actually, just a regular game, but it's all about how to help your team win as a scout. So, here are some basics. Number one, your initial scout run and your spotting position. As soon as you set off, you're scouting, so choose a route where you should be able to see the enemy moving into position. If you're skirting along the edge of the map like this, you're not going to spot anything, so potentially wasted a bit of travel time. And even on maps like Erlenberg, we see scouts coming along the flanks in the early game like this, when really they should be heading to a more central kind of a route and being ready to exit back into safety, into cover if necessary. And also Dukla Pass as well. I can't believe how many games I see the scouts running along the flanks when actually we should be heading to central areas where we can spot out for your team. That's what you need to do, get early intel to give your team a heads up and an advantage. Alright, so back to the Vanguard game. I sometimes ping the map to say on my way, in case anyone is paying attention, to where I might be heading, but it's not always effective, as often you get quite a few map pingers in a few seconds before the battle, as we all know. So here we are in our initial spotting position then, and actually usually, and it's not happening today, but you can spot the heavies and any TDs or heavily armoured tanks that might be heading along the zero line, but I didn't see any. So what I decided to do is go on an initial spotting run. Now the second rule for scouts is do not engage. As you saw there, I've seen a few tanks. Less experienced light tank players will want to go and engage those tanks, but do not engage. You have to remember that a World of Tanks console game is in two halves. The first half is about getting assisted damage, and the second half is all about getting your own damage and assassinating tanks on low health. Now you won't get any of that if you eat shots in the early game. Number three, passive scouting. Now what I've been doing here on this game is basically passive scouting. It's a basic for any tank, but in a light tank with so few hit points you need to protect yourself as much as possible. So knock down trees if you can, and sitting in a bush like this is called passive scouting, where you're waiting on the enemy crossing your line of sight. But there's also active scouting, and sometimes active scouting is required, and this is where you might do a little scouting run, as you saw me do just there a minute ago, and then back to safety. You always need to have your return route mapped out in your head, and I knew that as I went up onto that hill to see what I could see, I would come back here. If I was lit, I would just simply drop down behind the hill, and that would give me some cover. Now once you get to the second half of the game, and we're coming up to that point now, not in terms of numbers I don't think, but in terms of the momentum of the game, you get a sense. Roughly maybe half the enemy team are gone, or certainly you're 2 or 3 minutes into the average game. It might be time to leave your spotting position, so I usually give an on my way, as you saw there, and your priority is those tanks who have been battling and have less hit points. You don't go straight to the enemy base where the campers are, they'll be on full hit points. But as you can see here, here's a tank I know I can clip out before he has time to turn, so that's what we do. If he was on, any more than 600, 700 hit points, I would have thought twice, but I was able to take him out, so that's why we did that. So the next thing is stay alive. You'll be lit once you go out and start attacking, so you need to make sure you don't get hit. You're one of the most dangerous tanks on your team at this stage of the game. You're full health, hopefully. You have camo, view range and mobility, and the enemy base campers will be getting nervous, understandably. Now we see this T-77 down here, and here's our next target before we head to the enemy base. What I'm looking for here when circling him is the direction of his gun. I'm not bothered which way he's facing his tank, but I'm just trying to avoid his gun, and we were able to get 3 shots into him as well, and chew down most of his remaining hit points. Now final point, closing the game out. We should still be on full hit points, which we are in this game, thankfully, so we can eat a shot or two if needs be, and it's time to take out, or at least spot, the remaining enemies. We can see this T-44 hiding for dear life, clinging for dear life, hoping not to get shot behind a house. We light him up, put some shots into him. Now I'm thinking, well, where are the rest of them? I'm not going to bother waiting 20 seconds to go back to that T-44. I'm going to move on and see who else we can spot. We can see where the remaining tanks are. There's a Barask and a TD now left, and they're all in the bottom left-hand corner, K123. You stay in the low ground, just in case he comes on top of the ridge. But I know I can eat a shot from either of these guys, so all I'm thinking about is now getting my final bits of damage. And here we go, get the final kill on the Barask. So there you have it, guys, some light tank basics. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.